I've made at least one video already about the hauntings in my home state of Mississippi. Living both in this state and also relatively close to New Orleans, I'm in a part of the world that is basically a gold mine for alleged paranormal activity, so I figure why not talk about it. Today I'm going to tell you about Mississippi's most haunted house in one of America's most haunted cities. Let's talk about McRaven House. McRaven House, or McRaven Mansion, sits at 1445 Harrison Street in Vicksburg. It's the oldest structure in Warren County. In fact, it was built before Vicksburg was actually a town, or even before Mississippi was a state. At the time the building now known as McRaven went up, Vicksburg was known as Walnut Hills, and Harrison Street was known as McRaven Street, hence the name. McRaven House was originally built in 1797, but it wasn't the sprawling mansion it is today. It started out as a small, two-story, two-room hideout for a highway bandit named Andrew Glass. Glass traveled up and down the Natchez Trace on horseback, holding people up at gunpoint and robbing them. Glass's original house was a pretty simple structure, as he probably didn't need much else as long as what he had did its job, which was keeping him hidden. Everyone seems to agree that Andrew Glass died in the house, but it's not really clear how he died. There is a legend that he was shot during a robbery and knew he was going to die, but managed to escape and get back home, where he asked his wife to shoot him again and put him out of his misery. Another version of the story said Andrew was a womanizer, and his wife slit his throat out of anger and jealousy. Whatever happened, his death paved the way for more people to live and die in the house. After Glass's death and his wife's presumed evacuation of the house, ownership went to Newitt Vick, who Vicksburg was named after. Then in 1836, Warren County Sheriff Stephen Howard and his wife Mary Elizabeth bought the house. The couple was expecting their first child and wanted to expand the house to accommodate their growing family. They built the second part of the house, adding a bedroom, a covered porch, and a staircase. When Andrew Glass had originally built the house, the second floor was only accessible by a ladder. The Howards no doubt improved on the house and made it more suitable for a family. Unfortunately, they wouldn't stay long enough to utilize these renovations. Just 2 weeks after giving birth, Mary Elizabeth died of complications at the age of 15. There was a lot of contradictory information on the baby's gender. Some sources say she had a girl, and just as many say she had a boy. But regardless of the baby's gender, Stephen Howard left McRaven just a couple of years after his wife's death. He died shortly thereafter as well, and the baby was raised by his parents. I couldn't figure out what happened to the house for the rest of the 1830s or even most of the 1840s, but in 1849, it was bought by a man named John Bobb. John Bobb built the third and final portion of the house. He made it more elegant and added a men's changing room and a Greek Revival facade, the latter of which was later replaced with pillars. This was the house's last major renovation. Other than Stephen Howard's renovations, which closed in some areas of the home, most of these renovations were just add-ons, and not much else about the house was really changed. Because of this, National Geographic once dubbed the house the Time Capsule of the South. The picture here shows the renovations the house underwent over the years and how it grew. The portion on the left was built by Andrew Glass, the one in the middle by the Howards, and the last one on the right by the Bobbs. In 1861, the Civil War began. This obviously had a huge impact on the country, especially Vicksburg. One source did say McRaven served as a Confederate camp at one point, but most of what I found about the house in the Civil War concerns the siege of Vicksburg in 1863. During the siege, John Bobb and his wife Selina authorized the house to be used as a hospital for both Union and Confederate soldiers. They built a cave under the house and stayed there during the siege, but the soldiers didn't have this protection. Many of them died from common war maladies like botched surgeries. and the house acquired a lot of damage during the siege, much of it from cannonballs. 11 unidentified bodies are buried on the property, and in most cases, if not all, the entire body could never be found, only pieces of it. A leg here, an arm there. But as dark as this story is so far, the house wasn't quite done with death. About a year after the siege, John Bobb saw Union soldiers destroying the prized rose bushes in his yard. He threw a brick at one of them and knocked him down, and the soldiers swore revenge for this. Later that night, the soldiers came back with more friends, dragged John Bobb out of bed, shot him multiple times, and killed him. After this, his wife sold the house and moved to Louisiana. After John Bobb's death and his wife's leaving, the house stayed vacant for a few years until it was bought by the Murray family in 1866. Patriarch William Murray, his wife, and some of their children died in the house. But two of their daughters, Ella and Annie, never married and lived in the house together well into the 1900s. The Murray sisters rarely left their house and lived with no modern conveniences of the time except a telephone. They were also known to be hoarders, ordering so many things from catalogs that the things they bought filled up the entire house except the dining room. Ella died in 1960, and after her death, Annie sold the house and went to a nursing home, where she died shortly thereafter. The house was then bought by the Bradleys, who turned it into a tour home in 1961. In 1979, the house was added to the National Register of Historic Places. It was listed on their website as the Bobb House, and the website says their address is 1503 Harrison, not 1445. I'm not sure why the address is different. The house switched hands again in 1985, this time bought by a man named Leland French, who converted it back into a residence. But the ghosts of McRaven, if they do exist, weren't too fond of French. He was physically hurt several times while living there, including one incident where an unseen force pushed him to the floor. Another time, a drawer slammed shut on his fingers and broke his thumb. After this, French contacted a priest and had the house blessed. This seemed to help a bit, and he stayed in the house until 2007, when he put it up for sale and left to take care of his parents. He still owned the house, of course, and had caretakers for the upkeep of the property, but he didn't live there. Then in 2015, the house was sold to the Reed family. French had put the house on the market for $1.75 million, though I doubt that's how much it actually sold for. Despite the caretakers, the house was falling into disrepair, and the Reeds wanted to save it. They also turned it back into a tour house/museum. As far as I know, they still own it, and it still operates as a museum today. So with all that death and dark history, it's no surprise that there is a ton of paranormal activity here. I've researched a lot of haunted places, and McRaven has more documentation of paranormal activity than almost any other place I've looked into. I definitely can't get into all of it here, but I will try to hit all the major points. By far, the most active ghost is Mary Elizabeth Howard. Her old bedroom still has a lot of her things in it, including the bed she died in. Brian Riley, a tour guide at the house, says he once saw a teenage girl in the 1836 bedroom who disappeared shortly after she realized that he had seen her. He also claimed to see a dresser in that room open and close by itself. Since Mary Elizabeth died in the house in 1836 at the age of 15, I think it's safe to pin these things on her. Mary Elizabeth is said to be a friendly ghost, but also loves to pull pranks. She's known to lead guests astray, mess with alarm systems and lights, touch people, and even photobomb guests. At one point, her antics got so crazy that the police got involved. But Mary Elizabeth also has an understandable softer side. She's especially active around mothers and young children. The house's first owner, Andrew Glass, has also been spotted in the original room he built and lived in, at least one of them. Even people who didn't see him still claim to feel his presence. Women say they're touched by an unseen force, and men suffer irrational bouts of anger. Brian Riley claims to have seen a chair in Glass's room tilt back and then slam forward. Glass's ghost has also been blamed for things going missing in the house, though these things always turn back up eventually. And of course, the ghost of the house's last major renovator, John Bobb, has also been spotted. Brian Riley claims to have seen Bobb's ghost at least twice, once in the middle of a tour. People have also spotted Bobb strolling on the porch, smoking a cigar. They've even heard him talk. He's also been spotted in the men's changing room, where the smell of cigar smoke has also been reported. William Murray has also been spotted in the house, and phantom piano playing has been attributed to the ghosts of his daughters, Annie and Ella. In addition to former owners, Civil War soldiers are a common sight. One was reportedly spotted as early as 1864, when a reporter saw a traitorous Confederate soldier that's been spotted multiple times since. Guests on guided tours have reported seeing the ghost of a Confederate soldier, spotting his reflection in a mirror. Another group said to haunt the property is Native Americans. In the 1830s, the federal government forced tens of thousands of Native Americans in the southeastern United States to make an over 5,000-mile journey on foot to a territory designated for them in modern-day Oklahoma. This journey has come to be known as the Trail of Tears. Part of this trail winds through Mississippi, maybe even the McRaven property itself. Since many Native Americans died on this journey, it's no surprise they've been spotted here as well. Other reported activity includes orbs. In one incident, Janice Rayleigh, the president of the Ghost Preservation League, was taking pictures in the cemetery. She and a colleague started playing songs from the period, including the popular Dixie. When they looked at the pictures, the ones that had been taken while Dixie was playing had tons of orbs. These orbs are also reported on important dates like the anniversaries of battles or when there are reenactments taking place. Other activity includes objects downstairs moving on their own, as well as phantom taps in the men's changing room. Two ghost boys named Eric and Peekaboo are also said to play with toys around the house. A bunch of people have documented their experience at Raven House and put it online. The blog on McRaven's official site has several of these, and there's also a 2017 paranormal investigation by Society of the Supernatural, as well as an episode of Ghost Adventures that features the house. I will link all of these below. Today, the house still functions as a tour house and museum, offering history tours, haunted tours, and a combination tour. You can also host your own paranormal investigation, which is where I'm sure a lot of this footage online comes from. As of April 2020, the house is closed to the public because of the virus, but you can still book a virtual tour. At least their Facebook page, as far as I know, says coming soon. Tours are normally $15 for adults and $10 for children, so I assume they'd be about the same for a virtual tour, but I honestly have no idea. I will link their Facebook page below and also try to update you when the tours are actually live. So that is all I have for you today on McRaven House. And of course, I would love to know your thoughts. Do you think the house is really haunted? Have you ever been there? Would you like to go there either via virtual tour or maybe in person one day when the world is back to some semblance of normalcy? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and share it. And for more dark content, I hope you'll consider subscribing and hitting that bell. Thanks for watching and have a creepy day. Bye guys.